We got this one from Timcast.com. Biden administration sending 1,500 troops to southern border. U.S. officials are expecting a surge of more than 35,000 migrants flooding through El Paso after Title 42 ends. I guess my question for these so-called writers at Timcast.com is, are these illegal immigrants they're expecting or just general migrants? Because if it's like people lining up at the border being like, hello, I'd like to fill out forms to peacefully enter this country, I don't know if we need 1,500 troops.
This is the most like actual action that you've seen the Biden administration take with, securing the border as well. So it's interesting that they decided to do it now, right before election season. I feel like that might have something to do with it.
Well, didn't Corinne Jean-Pierre just get roasted for saying it's 90%
border
down?
crossings are down 90%. It's like all the journalists on the border.
Because they're all already here.
Yeah,
that's right. But is it what they're saying? They're going to be sending people back? Is that why they need the troops?
I think it was just, I think they stopped Venezuelans, if I remember correctly. It was Venezuela or a different country for a minute, and there was like a big blockade, and I think it was in the same area as well outside of El Paso, where you just had like Venezuelans piking tents, and there was thousands of them. Yeah. And then finally they just allowed them to come in from unaware of.
You want to know what was hilarious? Lori Lightfoot started complaining to Greg Abbott about all of the immigrants that have been sent up to Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
That's the least of your worries.
Then she busted them into the conservative suburbs overnight.
She did do that a while back. Yes, she did. She sent them out to the different conservative suburban areas. But I love how as soon as their ideology comes into contact with reality, they recognize, okay, I have to either completely abandon my principles or the thing I'm in charge of is going to fail.
Yeah. I mean, we've known for a while that with the end of Title 42, you would get different migrant caravans coming up. And again, I have no reason to assume everyone is going to attempt to cross illegally, but just the numbers bear out that many people will attempt to cross illegally into the country. And without Title 42, it becomes much more difficult to expel illegal immigrants. We've already had a crisis at the southern border for so long. And the Biden administration has done nothing to really address this. I mean, there have been efforts to get Mayorkas removed from office. Really, remember, Kamala Harris is the border czar. She's doing a great job. So I think the challenge is, like, as we go through the era, we wanted COVID regulations to end. And that was how we got Title 42. But if Title 42 is coming to an end, or if COVID regulations are coming to an end, so does Title 42. So how do we address the border? Yeah.
Well, there was an interesting question asked earlier. Are these people coming legally or not? Why is the military there? I don't think we're at any risk of not admitting enough people into the United States at this point. I think we've had quite a bit of immigration that was completely undocumented, totally illegal. The government had no oversight over. So this is the least they can do.
Yeah, I mean, it's also
least they can do.
It's not just the southern border; it's also all of the Haitian and Cuban immigrants coming in through Florida. Like, their illegal immigration is also up along Canada, and that's people flying from other countries to Canada to enter the U.S. I mean, this is an issue that we just, for whatever reason, cannot man up and solve.
Well, and it's getting to the point, too, like whenever I do border reporting or some of my fellow journalists are down there, you're not encountering people from Mexico anymore. You're not encountering people from those areas. You're encountering Cubans. Now it's Chinese nationals that are coming over and in droves. So we've gotten to the point of where all the Mexicans have already came over, right? Mexico isn't really even an immigration point anymore. Yeah, they come up through it, but it's Venezuelans, it's Cubans, and every single few months I'll go down to the border whenever I have the chance. Different kinds of migrants every single time. It's just evolving, and more people are coming over, and so there's no need for certain individuals to come over because they're already here.
I mean, do you remember that story about there's photos of Haitian migrants who were collected under a bridge in Texas?
That was crazy.
And there was the famous photograph of, the Border Patrol agent on
whipping
horseback,
them, right?
And Mayorkas condemned them, and it turned out that was completely a lie, and he has never done
the media, it wasn't even Mayorkas, and then after that, the media ran with it for 2 months. And then you had the pictures being spread by all the left-wing, publicists of them whipping them. And it's like, that's literally the most humane way to control them so they don't die in that river while they're crossing.
Right. And I bet if you asked anyone on the street if they remembered this incident, they would all think it was someone from Mexico crossing into the U.S. And that's just not it. Like, people don't understand the border crisis because we've let it get out of control. And instead of treating it like the national security and humanitarian issue that it is, right? We just say, if you don't want people here, you must be bigoted and racist and bad.
Well, and after that report went viral too, all of a sudden, all of the migrants were gone. Like, the next 2 days, they all of a sudden were gone. Where do you think they went? They brought them into our country.
Well, fundamentally, right, there's two basic positions on this. one of which is completely new and would be foreign to the thought of any pragmatic or remotely reasonable political thinker for all of history who wasn't trying to destroy a country, okay? In the first stream of thought, the first principle, or whatever we want to call it, desire is, I think that the government should have some oversight over who enters this country and some control over who is crossing over the border, because if we don't have that, there's literally no purpose to having a border in the first place. The second stream of thought is, that's mean. And that's it.
And there's no counterpoint to it.
And there's no counterpoint to it. It's, if you think the government should literally do anything, have any kind of immigration oversight at all, it's because you're racist.
Mm-hmm.
Then you look at all the great nations that actually have low crime rates and are actually succeeding with their economies. They all have strong borders. It's almost like there's a correlation between a real nation
kind of
and a faux
connection.
nation. Weird.
The thing you're not considering, Seamus, is that, but what if you're mean?
Thing that you're not considering is, here's the cartoon of you farting with stink
Did you
lines.
really? Let me-
How long have you had that ready to go?
What did you just do?
How did you, look at that. That's you. That's literally what you look like, bro. Did you consider that?
You made me look very thin.
That's, well,
Thank you, Seamus.
You're welcome. If you
That's the
consider,
nicest
if
thing
you
he's
consider
ever
that
had
a
done.
flattering caricature,
Yeah. Should we send this to somebody? Seamus,
I sent it to you.
should-
You're going to give away original art from
you're gonna
Seamus?
raffle it off.
yeah, we're gonna.
You got to frame it and put behind you now.
We send out random knickknacks from the show to our members.
Based.
Yeah. Yeah. So
You
if
have to
didn't-
sign it, and then we can send it out.
Here,
Yeah,
I'll,
so-
I'll
I'm not
leave,
put-
I'll
I'm
leave a
not putting
pack
my
of
John
Zen.
Hancock
You can
on
send
that.
that to a lucky guy.
It'd be funny.
That's a really big jug of water next to me.
That's that's the size of it. That's why you're so gassy.
Is water?
Water.
We were
What
supposed.
are you talking about?
We were supposed to be talking about the merits of being mean to migrants, Seamus, but you had to go and change the
Well,
subject.
no, you disagreed with me, and
You drew
so
a
I had to
picture
own
of
you
really
with facts and logic.
farting.
You tried debating me. You suggested I was mean, and so to prove you wrong, I showed you a picture I drew of you farting with stink lines.
That's the kindest thing he's ever done.
Wow, very important news we discuss here on Timcast.
As we were saying, no, I guess you are just mean, right? But those are literally the two options.
Are we happy with Joe Biden?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
No,
Best
I mean, like,
president.
Let me hold on. Let me show you this picture of him.
I drew this other one. I mean, like this action he's taking right now, sending troops down to the border. Should we be like, that's a good thing? Please do it more.
I think it's a start.
Yeah.
But that's it. It's just a start. It's something that should have happened right as he got in office. He shouldn't have repealed any of the immigration plans that Trump had because they were working. And now that he's doing that, he's got to backpedal because even normal Americans are starting to see, okay, this is kind of weird that we're allowing anybody and everybody through. So I think this is their way of almost compensating right before election season, saying, hey, we understand your problems, conservatives. Not you MAGA terrorists, though, because we don't like you guys, but general conservatives and progressives, we know you want a secure border, so this is our way of giving it to you. I think it's just to buy election points.
Do you remember his first State of the Union address where he just started appropriating Trump's talking points?
He did.
And said
Yeah.
that we need to secure the border. I mean, when your agenda
And he's
involves
like, capitalism.
he's like, capitalism is good, man. Defend the police, don't defund them.
He did.
Well, he did say that. He literally said those words, except he was less articulate than that and more
Yeah, it was more like
slurry.
a,
Have
That's
you
my
seen
favorite
videos of
narrative
him
swap.
speaking, like in Congress? Clips of him on any kind of committee over his very long career.
when he,
in the
when he
federal
was
government.
capable.
It's crazy. I just hope
Completely
that's what we
different
Sounds like this. Look, if we're gonna have a new policy here, you gotta listen up. We gotta have better taxes. We gotta have lower taxes in this country. And now he's like, turn around and shove the pressure.
And the slurring and like getting lost,
Yes.
like it's rough. I think the problem with this action, I won't say problem. I think it's good. The border needs more support, especially all the agents there. It's just that they created a problem because they tried to walk back all of Trump's immigration, like any kind of thing that could help stop this crisis. Because again, remember, people migrating here go through terrible things. Like it is not
The worst
It
things.
is not an acceptable thing to put anyone through.
Yeah.
It's not good for America. And it's not good through the women and children and men who go through it. So why we would support it, I don't understand. I think it's okay, but like you're saying, it feels like cheap points before the election. And if he gets enough pushback, I'm sure they'll pull the troops back.
Well, and the thing
I think
is
they are not really committed to solving this problem.
No,
course
they never
not.
will be. Well, and with the troops too, is like we saw this down at like Eagle Pass and other points that are really hot right now. Is whenever I go down there, if you do have National Guard troops, you do have any of these troops, they quite literally, all their job is to facilitate the migrants crossing. So they're just helping them cross. They're not stopping them. They have absolutely no power. They're still under akin to Border Patrol. And when I was down there last time at Eagle Pass, they were quite literally intentionally pulling their Humvees up in front of these migrants so I couldn't do my job and take videos of the processing. So it's like, where is this going to go? It's going to go absolutely nowhere. They have no authority to engage with cartels. I've heard horror stories of them watching literally people shoot children across the river. They can't do anything. The child crawls over and then they give the kid aid. Or, they're dumping people into vats of acid, these cartels, and facilitating all these migrant caravans that are coming over.
Right.
But the National Guard can't do anything. So what are they there for? It's worthless.
I mean, was it DeSantis who said, like, he instituted the policy of, like, if you arrive on a boat, we will turn you away. You can't. And it's to deter people from taking an extremely dangerous journey to try and illegally enter the country.
Yep. Well, then
right?
it's sad because then it forces as well, there's a downside for them to be facilitated through the cartels. And that's when the worst possible things actually happen to them. That's when you get the rape trees. That's when you get the murders. That's when you get the torture, is when these cartels are put in charge. They're multi-billion-dollar industries that are, I would argue, more powerful than a lot of world governments. And you're giving them more power.
Exactly. I think about when I was going to college and I went to school in Texas, they were talking about someone who volunteered with, I can't remember the name of the organization, but they basically were like, we go to the border, we hand out water bottles, and we try to help people.
Probably one of those Catholic organizations that facilitate
I'm not going to run into the Catholic conversation.
You better not.
But I will say,
Shia LaBeouf was there.
Oh, yes, the true.
She says, do it.
Why can't he be sincere?
I hope he is, but
Okay.
Let's see. I haven't heard about it since. The thing is, like, any of these organizations, you are actually encouraging people to risk their lives to do something dangerous and illegal that we know ultimately harms everyone involved. I think this is the craziest thing that we hear out of the left, that we should not build a border wall because it's what?
No humans illegal.
Like, I just don't understand. Why would you want to put people into the positions that they are in?
Well, they're criminals. They're criminal immigrants.
Exactly.
I don't like the
They are
phrase.
breaking the
no
law when
human's
they
illegal.
come to our country.
No, I don't like the phrase illegal immigrant.
No human is
I'm
illegal.
like, what does it even mean? Illegal immigrant? Like the person's illegal? No, they're criminal immigrants.
Yeah, that term would make more sense, but now, whether criminal immigrants or anything, they're committing crimes when crossing into the country, but there is no such thing as a legal process or an illegal process anymore. You can be a godaway, you can come and get your papers for the Border Patrol, and then they'll just release you. So anyone can come through. Terrorists, quite literally anybody can enter our country, and we're not doing anything.
I've known people who grew up in Eastern Europe who are advised, it's actually more likely that if you enter illegally through the southern border, you are more likely to be able to stay in America than if you go through the application process.
That's how Luke got here.
Probably. No, I just feel like that's the most sickening thing. It's similar, and this is a broad comparison to draw, but the conversations we have about gun ownership, right? Like, if you ban guns, only law-abiding people suffer.
Yep.
People who do not care about your laws don't care about your laws. They're not going to register their guns or give you the guns or do anything you ask them to do. It's only the people who believe in law and order and want to positively, constructively follow the law.
I thought it was funny the last time I was down at the border because I went into Mexico, and coming back in, I had the idea. I was like, I wonder if I drop my ID or give my ID to one of these other reporters I'm with and cross the Rio Grande, because I've done it before, and get processed as an illegal immigrant, act like I don't speak English. Like, what would the process look like? Then I found out I was going to. I probably have the plan to. It's a felony, but that's that was the only downside to it.
Don't do it. I'm just kidding.
You're going to charge me, but then I came through the legal way, and then I got detained for over 6 hours because I was on this terrorist watch list for my reporting on January 6th. Oh, and then they treated me worse than the actual illegal immigrants that are coming through. I'm like, I'm an American citizen, and you have people walking across the river and then being released into America in less time
That's the Gulag archipelago.
Yeah.
Saying that for criminals, it's just their nature. What can you do? Right?
Yes.
But for you knew better.
Yep.
Yeah.
You're a bad man. That's exactly it. Right? We have to go after the people. Whenever someone commits a crime, it's because of their socioeconomic environment, the way that they were raised. They would not have ever done anything wrong.
They're just stealing bread.
Exactly. And then when you do something wrong, it's just because you're evil and bad and you're a despicable, disgusting enemy of the state. Well, speaking of doing things bad, in a very childish move, Tim tried to edit my drawing of him. It's not nearly as good. He put me in the background sniffing the fart. I think it's really immature.
And he's saying, farts.
Yeah, which I will say. If I smell a good one.
Sometimes I feel like I'm in a 5th grade
But
classroom.
I never smell a good one. Bazinga.
Oh.
Back to, that's right. This is Can we just appreciate that my art's been ruined?
Ruined. It's been vastly improved.
It's been
now.
ruined. I wonder if that you can even see. Are you able to see that?
Can you launch a poll? Did this
Was
ruin
this
or
ruin
improve?
my art?
Seamus is just standing there going, farts.
I would say it's like you destroyed something Picasso made, but Picasso didn't really make all that much that was good.
Remember that story about
Hot
what was it,
takes all
Salvador
around.
Dali? He like bought dinner at a restaurant and then he drew a doodle in a napkin, signed it, and paid for his meal with that. And they were like,
I thought there was a story of him, someone coming up to him being like, draw me something. And he does. And he's like, okay, pay me $1,000. She's like, what? But I thought you were just doing it for free. And he's like, no, this is my craft. It's taken me a long time.
Oh yeah, they said you did that in 10 seconds, and he said no, it took me years to learn how to do it. It's like, then why did you do it so badly, Picasso? He was very talented. He was really good at it, and he started doing this abstract garbage.
yeah, like his original
You sound-
paintings. Were
His
You
really-
original
sound like
paintings were
his-
really good, and then he just started making trash, and everyone went, that's so good because he's portraying the world other than it actually is, and I don't want to see the world as it is because that makes it more difficult for me to live a vicious life.
I feel like you sound like his disappointed parents. We sent you to art school for this. You had so much promise.
First of
and
all,
this?
if he went to art school, his parents were already disappointed.
Thanks for watching this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. Hang out with us live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. and become a member over at timcast.com for uncensored, members-only shows exclusive. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all next time.